Hello, my dear children of class 12 science. Today again I welcome all of you through this mode of teaching that we are following YouTube mode. And in today's class, we'll start one of the new chapter and one of the important chapter under unit number 8. Okay, and the chapter name is Mass Energy Equivalence, Nuclear Binding Energy. Okay, now this chapter falls under unit number 8 as I said, and the unit that we are still doing is called Atoms and Nuclei. Okay, now it's a short chapter, okay, but important for your ISC examination also as per the syllabus. Now we start this chapter with the introduction of mass energy relation. Okay, we do the introduction of mass energy relation. Now, as far as you know, children, that mass and energy, these are the two different physical quantities that so far you have learned in the lower class. Now, when I tell you to define mass, you define mass is the quantity of matter contained in the body. So we define mass as a what? We define mass as a what? Quantity of matter contained in a body. Content in a body. So we define this way. Similarly, if I tell you to define energy, yes, we define energy as the capacity of doing work. It is the capacity of doing work. So whatever work you do, that is always stored in the form of energy. Now, from these two statements say that mass and energy, as we know, they are not interrelated to each other. These are two different entities. So before Einstein, Albert Einstein, one of the great scientists, mass and energy were supposed to be two different entities, with two separate physical quantities, which seems that they are not interrelated to each other, because we understand from here the mass simply understand as the quantity of matter, amount of matter, means the molecules contained in the body, and energy means it is the capacity of doing work, whatever amount of work that will be stored in the form of energy. That's why mass is also considered as the fundamental property of matter possessed by every substance, because you know in the universe every substance possesses what? Mass, because every substance is made of is consist of a mass. It can occupy space. Okay, similarly, as I said, energy as it's simply the capacity of doing work. So energy in matter was considered either due to the type of position or is due to motion, not due to what? Mass. I mean to say, as you have learned, even when we measure different form of energy, when we measure what different form of energy, like you have learned, like potential energy, kinetic energy, there are other form of energy, okay, in the universe. So energy in matter was considered either due to its typical position, due to its position, or due to its motion. Like when we talk about the matter, and when a matter acquires its position, then it possesses what energy? Potential energy. Now, when a matter or certain body which are in motion, it possesses what energy? Kinetic energy. But from these two statements, even you learn that the energy which we have defined, okay, is only due to its position or motion, not due to its mass. So, children, from here you know that the total mass of the universe and even the total energy of the universe were considered to be a separately different constant. That means energy is conserved in the universe and mass is also conserved, which means the energy conservation and mass conservation were supposed to be two independent laws. Okay, so law of conservation energy and law of conservation mass are not interrelated to each other. So energy conserved in the universe, no doubt. Mass is also conserved in the universe, but they were conserved under two different laws, under two independent laws. So under these circumstances, Albert Einstein proposed one of the important theory, okay, is called theory of relativity. So we come now with the scientist who actually made this observation, that is called Einstein's. So the Albert Einstein proposed a special theory of relativity. Propose a special what? Theory of what? Relativity. Now this theory of relativity you learn not in class 12 now in details, okay, you learn in higher class, okay, college, okay. But this is one of the important branch of physics which actually deals with the motion, relative motion between any two physical quantity in the universe. That means in the universe, one physical quantity is not independent with the other physical quantity. So one physical quantity can also relate to other physical quantity. So I mean to say that in the universe, mass and energy are interrelated to each other. So the proposal of theory of relativity made by Albert Einstein proved that in the universe, the physical quantity like energy and the physical quantity like mass, they are interrelated to each other. Yes, interrelated to what? Each other. That means every substance which has energy, and this energy due to of every substance is due to mass also. Means when a substance has mass, that substance also has what? Energy. Which means mass and energy are interrelated to each other. So let me just write a point out here. Every what? Substance, okay. Substance has what? Energy. Every substance has energy due to its what? Mass also. It's not that a substance which has energy due to its position or substance which has energy due to what? The motion. But every substance in the universe which has mass, that also has what? Energy. So from here I can say that energy and mass are interrelated to each other. So the entire universe, children, one thing also you need to keep in mind, the entire universe is made up of matter and energy. That means matter comprises by the mass, and that mass even has what? Energy. So under this case, Albert Einstein expressed a very famous relation, okay, between the energy and mass of any substance in the universe, and that expression is given by E equals to mc square. You know, this equation is very famous in physics when we talk about the energy measure for any substance. And this relation is called Einstein's mass-energy relation. Means if a substance has mass of any amount, whether a very small amount or large amount, that substance has energy also. And the energy corresponding to mass is measured by the formula E equals to m into c square. And this c means the speed. Now the c is the speed of what? Light. The speed of what? Light, or we also call the radiation. So from here I can say you that in the universe, energy and mass are always interrelated to each other. So even if a substance has mass, that substance radiates energy. That radiates what? Energy. And the amount of energy which radiated by the substance having certain mass is given by, measured by E equals to mc square. Now from this condition, even we understand that if a substance loses some amount of mass, so I write down if a substance what? Okay, if a substance loses amount of mass, amount of what? Mass, and I can say that amount of mass substance loses, if the substance loses is delta m, then an equivalent, I write down, an equivalent amount of energy, equivalent amount of energy is produced. Equivalent amount of energy is produced, and which is given by delta E. And this delta is also given by delta m into c square. So from here I can say that even if a substance loses some amount of mass, say delta m, then that substance also loses radiate energy. That means that substance also liberate or produce energy, and that amount of energy which is produced by a substance by losing this much amount of mass can also expressed by the similar relation, and that can be written by delta m equals to delta E equals to delta m into c square. And as I said, this c is called the speed of light, and this particular relation is called Einstein's mass-energy relation. So this is only called Einstein's what? This relation is only called Einstein's mass-energy what relation? Energy-mass relation or mass-energy relation also. Now from this relation we can even understand that suppose if a substance loses 1 kg mass, for example, if a substance loses 1 kg mass, or if a substance has 1 kg mass. Okay, then the energy related equivalent to this 1 kg mass can also be calculated. But you know what is the speed of light that we consider? Then the speed of light is what? 3 into 10 to the power what? 8 meter per second. And this speed which we take is the speed of light in air or vacuum. Okay, so under this case, the energy which we can calculate corresponding to this mass will be how much? Mass is how much? 1 kg. Now speed is how much? 3 into 10 power 8, but of square, whole square. So if you do calculate now, it will be how much? This will be how much? Okay, let me not write the unit. Now 1 into 3 square means 9, 10 to the power 8 square means 16. Now look at the value now. It is 9 into 10 to the power what? 16. And the unit that we write is what? Joule. Now just look at this. How much energy that corresponding to 1 kg mass? That is 9 into 10 to the power 16 joule. So if a substance has a mass 1 kg, then the energy equivalent to this 1 kg mass is 9 into 10 to the power 16 joule. Or if a substance loses 1 kg mass, then how much equivalent of energy will produce? 9 into 10 to the power 16 joule. So this is a huge amount of energy. This is a huge amount of energy. Okay, so this is how we understand that in a universe, if a substance loses the mass, if a substance loses any amount of mass, then some amount of energy will always liberated. Okay, by losing some amount of mass. And this amount of mass which lost is also called as mass defect. You learn in details what is also called mass defect. And the energy which will liberated due to this mass defect is also known as binding energy. Also known as what energy? Binding energy. Now we have a reverse process also, like losing mass, the substance liberate what? Energy. But it can be the case where we can give some amount of energy to the matter. If we give some amount of energy to the matter, then some amount of mass will increase. So when energy is given to the matter, okay, then there is an increase in what? Mass. So if a matter loses energy, so if a matter loses some amount of mass, then energy will be liberated. Okay, that we understood from this relation. Now if a substance like matter given some amount of energy, then that matter increases mass. So there is some amount of mass increased by the matter. So that increase in mass is also measured by delta M equals to delta E by C square. The same formula, but if I make delta M as the subject, then it is equals to delta E by C square. So if energy given to the mass, okay, there is an increase in mass of the substance measured by delta M equals to delta E by C square. Now, if you look at this expression, C, the value of C is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, which is very high. That's why this increase in mass will be very, very small. Because this denominator is very high, that's why this increase in mass will be very, very small. That's why sometimes, especially when we observe like a substance, and when we supply some amount of heat to the substance, when we give some amount of heat to the substance, then that heat energy given to this substance will increase its mass according to Einstein's mass energy relation. But this increase in mass is so small that we cannot measure even by a very sensitive device like a physical balance and all. Okay, so we consider this is almost remain constant. That's why when a soft heat energy is supplied to a substance, okay, then as per the relation, the amount of mass to be increased by a substance. But as I said, this increase in mass is very, very small. We cannot measure by a very sensitive device. And we understand that it is almost remain constant. But as per the Einstein's this mass energy relation concern, we understand that there is an increase in mass by a certain amount. Similarly, if we compress a spring, let me just take a spring and just compress the spring, its mass will increase. But we cannot confirm this mass increase by an experiment. Okay, that means this increase in mass, even if you give some amount of heat, will be very, very, very small. Okay, now in this view of energy mass relation, we understand now that the law of conservation of energy and the law of conservation of mass are no more independent law. They are not independent law. That means mass and energy are not separate physical entities. That means they are always interrelated to each other. So in a universe, if there is a decrease in mass of the universe, that means at the same time, equivalent amount of energy will produce. in the universe. That means if any substance which loses its mass, then that substance also liberates some amount of what? Energy. Like as in the case of nuclear fission that we can observe, and even we can observe in nuclear fusion. So these are the two different phenomena or nuclear reaction that you learn in the next chapter. But as far as relation is concerned, if a substance of any amount of mass loses its mass, then some amount of energy will be liberated. So if we take this consideration, then we know sun is one of the body who is giving us energy, continuously giving us energy in the form of radiant energy. Okay, that means the sun is losing continuously its mass. Yes, the sun is continuously losing its mass, but we are receiving that losing mass in the form of energy. But it doesn't mean that the mass, the sun mass or everything will be lost and it will disappear like that. It will not happen. Because this loss in mass is very, 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 very small as compared to the total mass. Okay, so we cannot compare that also. Thus, the law of conservation of energy and the law of conservation of mass has been now considered as a single law. So, under these circumstances, I can tell you that energy in a universe can be converted into mass, and mass in the universe can be converted into energy. And this conversion of energy into mass and mass into energy can be observed under a nuclear level. Under what? Nuclear level in the phenomenon, and that phenomenon we learn in the next YouTube video. And these two phenomena are called pair production and pair annihilation. So I'm just highlighting out here that two phenomena now we are going to learn in details: pair production and pair annihilation. And these two phenomena actually mix, you understand about the conversion of energy into mass and mass into energy. So this is the introduction part of this particular chapter called mass-energy relation.